What's going on, guys? JSGC here, back again for another daily Manchester City transfer update. Before I do crack on with today's update, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, then do subscribe to my channel. I'm going to keep you guys up to date every single day here on YouTube with all the latest City transfer news. So if you haven't already, do subscribe. It is free. Social media links are in the description, including my X, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up on today's transfer update. We're aiming for 400 likes, and do get your thoughts as well in the comments below. So we've got no contract news to speak about. We do have some outs news, and the first player I want to speak about is Claudio Echeverri. Now, Lyon yesterday won their appeal against relegation from Ligue over in France, so they're going to remain in the top division in France, which is going to impact which player they're going to take on loan from Manchester City for the 2025-2026 campaign, as I'm sure they're going to want to try and target some players who have been in and around the Manchester City first team squad. Now, had this relegation been upheld, it would have impacted who Lyon would take on loan from Manchester City, as I'm sure it would have probably been an EDS player that would have headed to Lyon on loan rather than a player that's been in and around the City first team squad. But because it's confirmed now that they're going to be playing in the top division in France, Lyon will be targeting a player around the City first team squad as per the agreement where Manchester City signed Ryan Cherki from Lyon last month. So the question is, which player is that going to be? Because the only two players really that it could be is Vita Hayes or Claudio Echeverri. Now, we were reporting yesterday about Girona. They wanted Claudio Echeverri. They were concerned about so many offers coming in for Echeverri that they feel like they weren't going to sign him. So they wanted to try and bring in Vita Hayes instead. And so if what's been reported from Spain is true, that could well clear the path for Lyon to be given the priority to take Claudio Echeverri on loan from Manchester City for the season. Now, I think that would be a really good loan move if we are to explore a loan move for Claudio Echeverri, which I think his minutes are going to be few and far between for the upcoming season. He does need European football experience, so giving him 12 months at a top club in a fantastic league over in France, a competitive league that's obviously everyone's going to point towards PSG always win it, but that doesn't take away from the fact that there is competition and competitiveness in the league. It might not be right at the very top of the league, but in terms of the other teams, he's going to be taking on some fantastic top talents in France, so there's going to be a good challenge there and a good learning experience for Claudio Echeverri, and I can certainly think of worse places for him to be spending the next 12 months. So I'd have no problem with Echeverri heading out on loan. It also helped Manchester City when it comes to their potential problem of non-homegrown players being registered for the Champions League, as we've currently got too many players for the Champions League when it comes to registering players. So 2 players at this moment in time, if everybody stays at City who is non-homegrown, 2 players would miss out on playing in the Champions League for City, and Vita Hayes was one of them. From the January transfer window, he missed out on City's remaining campaign in the Champions League, and because we've decided to bring more top non-homegrown talents in through the summer, we'd now be at a point where we've got 2 players that couldn't be registered. So it makes sense for the 2 players who've got the least amount of experience to probably leave Manchester City before transfer deadline day and go out on loan. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Claudio Echeverri head out on loan, and also Vita Hayes as well. And remember, Lyon have priority when it comes to taking a player on loan from City, and now that they're playing in Ligue 1 confirmed for next season, I expect that more than likely to be one of Vita Hayes or Claudio Echeverri, which right now things seem to be suggesting probably going to be Claudio Echeverri. Now, moving on, we've got the latest now on Maximo Perrone, and last month Como had activated their clause in their loan agreement from last summer to take Perrone on loan once more for another 12 months, but behind the scenes have been working on trying to make this transfer permanent, and Fabrizio Romano reported last night that it's got the here we go, an agreement has been found. A fee worth €13 million or £11.21 million has been agreed between Manchester City and Como, and Maximo Perrone is going to become a Como player on a permanent basis. Now, Manchester City bought Perrone in from Vélez Sarsfield over in Argentina in 2023 for a fee worth £8 million. Manchester City are going to be making a small profit here of just over £3 million on top of the loan fees that had been paid by both Las Palmas and Como when they loaned him out. So we're just waiting for this transfer now to be made official. It is going to need Perrone to sign his new Como contract, and there is the potential of him maybe having to complete another medical. I'm not 100% on when this loan agreement was agreed last month as to whether he'd already completed a medical or not. I'm not aware right now that he did complete a medical. He's been on his holidays, so I imagine he'll go into Como in Italy. He'll sign his contract, complete his new medical to make him a permanent player at Como, and Manchester City will receive their money and will move from there. I do imagine some clauses will be included on this deal, and I'm waiting for further clarification on what they would be in terms of a sell-on fee and other bonuses, sending the fee even higher, maybe a buyback clause. We'll wait and see. Now moving on, we've got the latest on James McAtee, and Sky Sports have said that both Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest are the teams from the Premier League that are most interested in signing James McAtee this summer. Remember, we were reporting yesterday that Atalanta in Italy had declared their interest. There's loads of interest coming in from Germany as well in James McAtee, so Manchester City not short of interest. When it comes to McAtee, we're waiting for this interest to turn into bids, and Manchester City sanctioning the sale of James McAtee. It is believed that City value James McAtee at more than £25 million. Word from Manchester City, according to Sky Sports, is that it's fake news that City are looking for around £20 to £25 million for James McAtee. They think that he's got more experience than what Cole Palmer had at Manchester City when we sanctioned the sale for him to go to Chelsea. So Manchester City, again with a top homegrown talent like James McAtee, looking for around the same figure of around £40 million. But according to Sky Sports News, that's just hearsay, and no overall price has been set, but it is believed City wanting more than £25 million, which I'm going to tell you that with the amount of interest City have got, they might be able to get there. But the fact that we're looking at here, he's got 11 months left on his contract. The player doesn't want to stay at Manchester City, doesn't want to sign a new contract. I'm almost certain that if Manchester City were to drag the heels in this transfer, the player would ask for a transfer request, because the player's got all the balls in his court really here. He's just going to say to Manchester City, you don't sanction a sale, I'm happy to wait. I'll wait 11 months and I'll leave for free, and my game time will be limited. I don't want to sign a new contract. I want to go and prosper and go to another club, and it takes away the selling negotiation power here for Manchester City. So I don't think City will get close to the £40 million that we got for Cole Palmer. I don't think, in my complete honest opinion, that James McAtee, in terms of looking at the comparisons with him with Cole Palmer, is on Cole Palmer's level as of right now. So I don't think we'd be getting that same fee, and I reckon we'd probably be looking at, to me, £25 million sounds like the right price, if I'm being completely honest. I wouldn't rule out it being potentially less than £20 million if Manchester City start pushing for and wanting things like buyback clauses and sell-on fees included. Remember, we sold Cole Palmer for £40 million to Chelsea. We got a good amount for him for the situation that we was looking at, because Manchester City didn't include a buyback clause and didn't include any sell-on fee. So if we're not going to include these bonuses, then yes, we should be asking for more. But they do want it to be included. So if they do want it to be included, we're not going to get anywhere close to £40 million. And I'd be surprised if we got to £20 or £25 million. So we'll see what does happen with regards to that. Again, loads of interest, but no one's putting in any bids. So until we actually see some offers coming in, I take things with a pinch of salt. Anyway, moving on to the ins, got one story to speak about. I would say a big thank you to one of my regular subscribers in pointing this out to me yesterday on one of their comments, so much appreciated, thank you for that, about Morgan Gibbs-White. So the 25-year-old central midfielder from Nottingham Forest, still of interest to Manchester City according to the Football Insider. They said that Manchester City have been pushing along with this transfer and now have agreements in place with the player for personal terms for him to sign for Manchester City. Now, Manchester City not happy to pay Nottingham Forest price of around £70 million. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Manchester City, I've heard, aren't even willing to go above £50 million. They value him at somewhere between £30 and £40 million, which just isn't going to happen. City aren't going to sign Morgan Gibbs-White this summer for that kind of price. Homegrown tax, Premier League tax, it's just not going to happen. We'd struggle to make that transfer happen for the price that Manchester City want it to happen for. So what's been reported here I find very interesting. So homegrown players, when it comes to adding players to our squad, is no worries for City when it comes to our registrations for both the Premier League and Champions League. But if we do decide to bring Morgan Gibbs-White in, it does leave some question marks about some of the other players that we've got at the club right now, including what does this mean for İlkay Gündoğan, linked with a move to Turkey. Mateo Kovacic, once he's back fit in August, is there going to be any interest in him? He was getting linked with a move to Saudi Arabia, which was definitely of interest to him last summer. We know that Jack Grealish is going to be leaving and he can play in the centre. Bernardo Silva's contract is up next summer as well, and if Gündoğan doesn't leave to go to Turkey this summer or another club, then he will leave Manchester City next summer because his contract is also up, and we know that more than likely Claudio Echeverri is going to be heading out on loan. So if we get clarification on all these players' futures, all of a sudden Man City are maybe just one or two players short, in particular in midfield, and that would open up the potential of Morgan Gibbs-White being brought in. I just can't see it right now. I can't see Manchester City wanting to bring players in first and then selling players when it's not a guarantee that our players are going to be sold. You should be sorting out selling your players first, looking at the squad and saying, are you happy with the squad or do we need to add further players? Once that decision's been made is when you start to get linked with more players coming in terms of the incomings, and if we do want to look at central midfield, we can then go back to a player that we've obviously clearly been scouting and clearly interested in Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, Morgan Gibbs-White, he can cover in a deeper role, but he likes to play more in an attacking role, which Man City are currently completely stacked out when it comes to attacking players who play in midfield. So, for me, I'm not too sure. I take this again with a pinch of salt, and to me, I'm waiting for something a little more reputable to come out about Morgan Gibbs-White, because I do have my doubts about City pushing for this transfer and having these agreements in place. The last we heard about Morgan Gibbs-White coming in from reliable sources, including that of Fabrizio Romano, was Manchester City cooling their interest in Morgan Gibbs-White because they're happy with the business that they've done when it comes to central midfield, and that will only change once we've started to move players on, which we're slowly just starting to do, but there's still a lot of players' futures to sort out, and they're not going to get sorted out until end parts of July when they come back from the holiday, and probably into August as well. So yeah, City maybe want to get a head start. Maybe what the Football Insider are reporting here is true, and they've got them agreements in place. It's all about sorting out their squad that they've currently got, and then going in with an offer to Nottingham Forest. But you don't get agreements put in with players unless you're pretty confident of agreeing a fee with Nottingham Forest. And going off the last piece of information that we had, that City want to pay near enough half the price of what Forest are asking for, tells me that there's still a big gap when it comes to that potential transfer fee, and this could get even more further complicated by that news that we were reported on before about Lyon having been reinstated into Ligue is going to have some implications on the Europa League and the Europa Conference League, because it's been reported that due to multi-club ownership, that Crystal Palace, who should be playing in the Europa League, due to multi-club ownership, could be playing in the Europa Conference League. So the team that's in the Europa Conference League from the Premier League, which is Nottingham Forest, who Morgan Gibbs-White plays for, could well be going into the Europa League. And Morgan Gibbs-White, he'll want to be playing in the Europa League with Nottingham Forest because he's worked really hard to get them there. So they could be going into the next level up competition when it comes to UEFA's competition. So again, that could have some impact on the transfers. So really interesting what's being reported here, and I'm not too sure what to make of it. So I'd love to know your thoughts, guys, in the comments below. Also, don't forget as well to leave a thumbs up. We're aiming for 400 likes. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here. It is free to subscribe. I'm going to keep you guys up to date every single day with all the latest City transfer news here on YouTube, so do subscribe. Also, don't forget social media links, including my X, Instagram and TikTok. They're in the description if you want to go and follow me on there. Also, don't forget email in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorship for any videos or any general business inquiries, and I'll see you all religiously tomorrow for the next daily Manchester City transfer update. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.